Hello, Ken Spriggs here. A follow-up video to my video, not the last one, but the one before that, where I talked about some upcoming projects. And we took a look at the very large Land of the Giants 3D printed spaceship. Well, today I got the incredible cast resin interior for it from Randy Cooper. Absolutely amazing interior. Definitely the pushing factor that put me over the limit to really get this kit and really want to get it. I really like the 3D printed ship, but I wouldn't want just a ship without any kind of interior. So when Randy Cooper showed his build on Facebook and then on YouTube, and he started to create his own interior, and I saw how it was coming together, it just really sold me. So very happy with this interior, absolutely incredible. Again, I won't really discuss the cost of it, only because Randy prefers that and other ones prefer it. They want, provide the product that they're giving you and go over that with you. Not inexpensive, but certainly worth every penny. And I'm very, very happy with both of these, with the exterior of the Spindrift and the interior. So a lot of great parts in it, mostly resin cast, and Randy created these all himself and did a great job. But some other things that go inside of it, other parts, and there's also some vacuum form plastic for the bubble. There are some stickers and some other type of things inside, and some vinyl. So really, really well done, really well designed and cast, and fits together perfectly. So let me go ahead and show you. What I want to show you first of all is I taped together the main parts of the interior just to kind of show you how large it is and how it fits together. And then I put it inside the ship basically to get an idea. There's certainly some adjustment that has to be done with some of the supports inside of the bottom of the ship, so the interior will fit correctly. And Randy went over that in his videos. So let me go ahead and show you those, and then we'll go over the parts in more detail. All right, so here's the interior, just kind of taped together and mocked up. Most of these pieces fit really, really well. The two walls, I had to do a little sanding, clean up a little bit, and there's still some more cleanup. Obviously it's cast resin, but the interior parts, the parts that you're going to see, are really nice, really clean. Just a little bit of cleanup. The resin sands really well. It didn't take much at all to get a nice smooth sand on some of the parts that needed to be clean up some of the burrs and that sort of thing. So it'll go together really well. It has some nice key pieces all throughout, so it's pretty easy to see where they all line up and how they fit. Now this is pretty weighty. I tried to weigh it on a scale, it was electronic scale, but it wouldn't just weigh by itself. So what I did was I weighed myself, then I weighed myself holding this, and it's about 3 pounds, almost exactly 3 pounds for this big hunk of resin. I also weighed the ship by itself, and it's less than 3, it's about 2.5 pounds. So all together, if you throw in all the rest of it and the other resin pieces and electronics, probably looking at about a 6-pound model. And I know that doesn't sound like a lot of weight, but most model kits don't weigh 6 pounds. Be lucky if they weigh a pound, but it's got some heft to it. And when I put this inside and I try to lift it, it's pretty heavy. It's going to be a two-hander when it's done. But let me go ahead and just kind of put it inside the ship that I taped together, and keep in mind they're not all arranged where they need to be. It's just a test fit, and everything's just taped. So let me go ahead and see how that's going to fit. All right, and just test fitting it inside. Now keep in mind, I already know that I have to cut down a lot of the supports in the bottom for this to fit down in there the way it's supposed to be. Randy went over that in his video. Not an issue with his interior, but they didn't design it for an interior, so it has a lot of raised supports right in the bottom to give it structure, and they have to be trimmed down somewhat. Also, likewise, the floor, the bottom piece of this is very thick. I can sand that down some as well on the bottom to give it some more height, or less height, as it were. But you can see right now it's not lining up with the windshield in the front. It's up too high. But it still gives me kind of an idea of how that's going to look, and that's really cool. Seeing this massive interior inside of the ship. And this has some weight to it, so I can pick it up with one hand, but that is pretty heavy. That is pretty hefty. Two hands would be fine, but once I get all of this in there, all the resin in, this is going to be a pretty heavy kit for sure. Certainly very beefy. So, but really cool. It's definitely going to be a challenge, but I really love it a lot. This is awesome. This interior is beautiful and really, really well made for this ship. So this is going to be great. All right, so let's start by looking at the main parts of the interior, the main pieces. So let me move this out of the way a second. And these are going to be familiar to those who are familiar with the Spindrift, of course. So you have the floor, which is all one piece. And it has a lot of different slots and areas that these parts can key into. So this actually slides down inside, and it marries up with some nice ridges, and it fits exactly where it's supposed to be. So I don't have to worry about positioning it where it needs to be. Likewise, the wall that leads to the cockpit, same situation. It's pretty thick. I wanted to show you that the door has like a ridged opening. It's not deep enough that you could put in like a piece of styrene to look like the door. I guess if you made a small enough piece, you could probably get it in there and kind of look like it, but I'm not going to worry about it. But I do like that realistic detail that it looks like an actual door that's been opened. So, all right, so this just goes down into there, and you just make sure that it lines up. Let me see if I can show you there. Right there. You can see all that edge right there marries up. Same thing over here. And it just clicks down in place. So they're nice and lined up. And then the other parts are the same way. So you have this, and obviously this just lines up against these two parts right there and glues down inside. Looks pretty cool. And the same with the others. So you have the cockpit, of course, and the walls, which go onto the different pieces and line up. And then in the back, of course, you have your two main walls. And there's some cleanup that you have to do, which you often get with a resin kit. Not too hard. That's pretty thin. I can just cut that out pretty easily with an X-Acto knife and just sand those down. These top lights can be lit up, which is cool. I have to sand some more and drill through those so I can get the light to come through it. You got some nice detail around the windows there on the inside. It's pretty cool. I want that to fall down. Let me set it down here. And then you have one of the best parts, the back, which always really hard to replicate. When I made mine, my little mini one, my mini interior for the Mobius Spindrift, the small one, it was really tricky to come up with that pattern. Not sure how he did this. I'd really love to know. That's pretty awesome. But perfect pattern on that. And actually what you do is you sand off the back and you open up those entirely. And then there's an overlay, which I'll show here momentarily, that you put behind it, and it gives it a pattern as well that you can light. The doors are inset, which is nice. And he has a wood panel grain or sticker to go on it, which is cool. You have your little control panels. I believe all of those have an extra piece that goes onto it that has the buttons on it. But that's really cool. Also nice and thick. All right, so these pieces are really well made and well cast. I had to do a little bit of cleanup on this wall here, for example. Take that out of there. And these were a little snug when I first put them in, but they've kind of loosened up a bit. This one's still a little snug, but there we go. Okay, so you can see that channel where it slides down inside. And then you, obviously you match up this corner right to that corner there so you know where it goes. So there was a little bit of rough spot, still a little bit of rough spot right there, as you can see. Looks like I missed that one. But there was some around the door. And it was real easy to sand smooth. It's a nice soft resin, so it sands very easily. I'm sure that it will drill as well and cut also very easily, so it's not a problem to do what I need to do. I won't have to do much in the way of these big thick walls as far as drilling through them. It would be a bit adventurous to try to light up these controls, but I don't think that's going to happen because there's a lot of resin right there to have to drill through to get that. So okay, but very nicely designed, very nice. They go together very nicely. Obviously this big piece here is the the mother of all pieces. One big piece for the floor, nice and thick. You have the bottom. So I can actually sand the bottom with like an orbital sander and smooth it down some and even drop it down a bit because it's pretty thick. Even in the thinnest part, it's that thick right there. So that's a pretty thick. That's about at least 1/4 of an inch, if not thicker. But it won't really hurt with the stability if I take it down just a little bit and smooth it out a bit. Just so it sits down a little lower on the bottom. So, all right. So there's the main parts. Definitely a massive interior kit. Lots of really awesome parts. There's the control panel for the cockpit. And you can light up the panels down in here and also the little TV screen right there. And of course, all these are accurate. It has the accurate big giant controls that they have. Looks like they're like ovals. They have like a TV in the middle. It's kind of weird looking, but very accurate. So, okay, let me go ahead and show you some of the other parts as well. One other main piece that I forgot to show is this roof panel. And this goes over top of the passenger section. And it has some detail. You can see it has some ridges in it and some openings. And you can, this is where you'll have the lights coming through, and there's also some overlays for that and some other pieces that I'll show you here in a moment. That goes over top. So basically like this, and then, well, I'm just lining it up at the back, but it's going to go over top of it and allow you to put some light boxes and light that piece. So that's the last of the really large pieces for the main interior framework. All right, so these are the remaining parts, and there's quite a few of them, as you can see. So we'll go over each of these, and I'll just kind of show you. They all do kind of go together in a way, and they're nicely bagged up, so you can go through. And I've inventoried them all, made sure everything was here. So let's go ahead and we're going to open this up and start with this one first. All right, so this one contains the vacuum form bubble, which has the correct egg-shaped or teardrop shape. Really cool, nicely done. That's going to be beautiful. And it has the little antenna, odd-looking antenna in the top as well. Some of these parts do have quite a bit of cleanup, but like I said, it's really easy to do. A lot of the really thin pieces just snap right off and then just sand it down. And that has a piece of metal rod through it. It's not quite centered, but I'll make sure that the hole is where it needs to be. I can even drill that out and put another one in. We'll see. But that's that piece there. All right, and then these are kind of interesting. I have these pieces here. They're still resin, but they're kind of a white, milky, translucent resin, and light shines through them very well. Obviously, these are to be lit up. So you have the different panels. I believe this would go back over the passenger compartment since those two openings are pretty small. This would be over the cockpit. This would be over the back of the center hallway going out to the door because of that curve in it. Then you also have these two little panels that go on the two sides in the cockpit up front. Those open up and these go in there, and they can be just lit up with a mild glow. And then you have these two parts that go into the control panels, it looks like, on the sides of the cockpit with a little TV monitor. So you could light that up from behind as well if you want to give that some light. And I'm assuming these light up so that the controls, they do actually, because I remember now, I'll show you when I get to the stickers in the vinyl that he gave with it. But these are really cool. So these are nice. I mean, I could certainly always use just some clear styrene that I scuff up as well, but it's nice to have these, and I think these will be really good for diffusing the light for those. All right, and in this pack, I didn't take all the parts out because there's a lot of repeats that continue on. You have the two side pieces. Actually, let me get that other one out that's already cleaned out. These are for the, well, maybe it isn't actually. Nope, it isn't. I have to clean those out and drill them out. But these are for the side windows, obviously, for the passenger section. This is a curved part that actually goes out and meets up with the outer hull. And then those are the windows looking into the passenger section. So that can make that look nice and clean. You have the little back cabinet that goes the very back of the passenger section, right below the lit up grid on the back. And then you have a bunch of different parts to make up the passenger seats, which are quite a few. Very accurate, very cool looking passenger seats. So you've got those really awesome looking padded backs on them, and these are red and black, which is really awesome. I always like those. And they come with little bases. You have the armrests. You have these little pieces here that the armrests fit onto. I'm not sure what those are, if they're separate or these pieces. I'll have to look over them and see where those go at. There's only 4 of those, so I'm just wondering. Well, you know what? Probably not. There's probably more in there. I'll have to look this over and figure out where all these parts go. Which just makes me realize now that I don't remember seeing any instructions. I mean, fortunately, I know how this looks and all of these go, so it shouldn't be too difficult to figure that out. And also watching Randy's video of his build, it should be pretty straightforward. Here's a bunch more of these little side rails, and those go obviously right along here, and then the armrest goes on top of them. So these are going to be pretty sweet. I think these are pretty awesome how those are designed. So okay, and there's actually 6 seats that go in the back as opposed to the 4 that came with the old Aurora kit. 2, 3, 4, yeah. Wait a minute, maybe not. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, there's 6. I'm sorry, 6. A lot of inconsistency, a lot of incorrect inaccuracies in the Aurora kit and now the Polar Lights kit. This is extremely accurate, well researched, well done, looks beautiful, looks just like the set. So one of the things that they really did crappily in the Aurora kit is the crappy little seats, which had very little detail, none of this ribbing or any of the things that are supposed to be there. And just, you know, really crappy looking. In the past, the pilot seats, even worse, because the pilot seats don't look like this. They're a lot more complex. I'll show you those here in a moment. But Randy did a great job of making these screen accurate and really looking awesome. So these are going to be pretty sweet when these get all built up and painted and put into the passenger section. So fantastic. Okay, then this last bag has several parts for the cockpit, including the cockpit chairs, which are in several pieces. I'm not exactly sure how they go together. This looks about right. It seems to fit that way. I'm gonna have to watch his video and kind of look at it. There's also a cushion pad that goes in that top piece that I saw in the other bag for the passenger section pieces, and probably some of the seat mounts as well for that. But these are going to be very complex looking chairs, and they come in several pieces. Now the one side, one of the pipes broke off and I can't find it in the bag, but that should be easy enough to replace and scratch build with a piece of styrene tubing or stripping, so that's fine. Looks like that's on the back anyway. But lots of cool detail on these. I believe they're patterned after old jet seats or something like that they found and repurposed for the show. But those are going to be pretty cool. And then you have the girder work that goes up on top. It's all one piece, which is nice and convenient. A lot of cleanup on that, but nothing major. Should be easy to get off pretty quickly. And then there's some other girders. I'm not exactly sure how those fit in place. I'll have to figure that out. And again, I'm used to the Polar Lights Aurora kit, which is really inaccurate, so that doesn't have all the parts that you need. But it shouldn't be too hard. Got a little fire extinguisher, some other little parts. Oh, some joysticks. That's pretty cool. And then the really weird looking controls. I believe they go this way. Yeah, they go this way. And they flop all over the place and they hold on to these handles. It's really weird. It almost looks like there's supposed to be like a display in this and somehow, maybe a radar or something. It's really odd. But those are accurate. It has the little control units that go in the passenger section on the side next to each of the chairs. These are pretty cool. They can be lit up, assuming that there's some kind of a communication device or buttons on a little screen maybe, and you can contact the cockpit or whatever. I was cracked up because this ship is supposed to be a suborbital craft, like an airplane. Only holds 6 passengers, which is really, not very economical. They had a stewardess and a pilot and a co-pilot, so half as many people flying the thing as there is actual passengers. Not really any obvious room for more people and more seats, so it's pretty funny. But it's a science fiction show, and they wanted to have the right people. I don't think they had. I think they still had 7 people. 7 was the magical number for people of the main stars on a show. Like Star Trek had 7 main characters who were always recurring. They even carried that along. So I'm pretty sure they only had 7 characters altogether. 4 passengers, even though they had 6 seats, they had 4 passengers. The stewardess, Betty, and then Dan, and I cannot think of the pilot's name, but maybe the pilot was Dan, I can't recall. I'm going to have to watch the show again and get some ideas on how to paint this up and everything. So, okay, so that's all of the main resin parts that go into this. So quite a few, as you can see. So the last thing I want to show you is we're going to take a look at the vinyl and the stickers that come with it. All right, I take that back. Actually, there was one more pack of resin parts. Most of these are replacements for some of the 3D printed parts that came with the ship. For example, these exhaust for the engine, the teardrop intake valves. So these are pretty nice, actually. They're not bad, but there is a lot of cleanup to do. And plus, because it's a filament printer, these are a little rougher. It's hard to get them completely smooth. I'd have to sand those out quite a bit. So the resin is obviously a lot easier to work with. It's already nice and smooth, nice circles on them. And all I have to do is just run this lightly over some sandpaper and take off that extra little bit of excess. And those will be easily lit from behind. You got the back engine ones, really nice. And then you have the piece on the top, which the kit doesn't come with, to go underneath the dome. I'm not sure if I'm going to put any kind of light under that or have it pulsing or not. We'll see. But that still would look kind of cool just to have that under there and painted. It also came with some replacement grills from the front right next to the cockpit. These go on either side of the cockpit, so these are nicer. They're pretty cool. They could replace those. And then it comes with a part that it doesn't have. This has this piece which goes underneath the front. And this looks just like the piece that comes on the model kit, the small model kit from Polar Lights or Aurora, which has always been inaccurate. This actually has this piece sticking out of it. This might be a little long, but it sticks out of it. And you have this little ball on the end of it, and it's like silver or whatever. So he made the part that's more accurate. I can cut down some of this metal rod, certainly drill out that hole there and put it in to make that more accurate to that piece than the model kit has. So, all right. So that is the end of the resin pieces. I'm going to go ahead and show you the last part of it, which is the stickers that go inside. All right, and here is the sticker set. And Randy cracks me up. I guess he must have had some complaints or questions about it, but no decals, stickers. These are stickers, not decals. I actually like them better. Decals would be really tricky at this scale. You know, can you imagine trying to cut out and put on a sticker this size? This thing would be all over the place. And he kind of mentioned that in his video. So instead he used these stickers. They're more like vinyl. And so they're going to go on well. And there's a couple different types that do different purposes. So, so the first one here, you have this wood grain pattern for the doors on the back. And also for the, I believe these go on the passenger counters on the sides. And then you have these little panels for that cabinet on the back. I like the doors. They have a black line in the center to separate it, so it would show how the door would open up and have that detail. So that's cool. You have a similar type for the passenger compartment, and these go on the front wall of the passenger compartment, and they would probably light up and give you some warnings like no smoking, fasten seat belts, toilet in use. That's funny. And this goes on the other side. I'm not sure what that C stands for, but that's the company logo. It's also on the outside of the ship. And then I think this probably goes in the passenger section. I'm going to have to look and see. Seat safety indicator. But those go on there as well. Then we have this big sheet, which is really cool. It's actually translucent, as you can see. And all the decals on this are for lighting parts of the ship. So you have the front of the cockpit, you have a part behind that, two pieces for the passenger compartment, the back wall behind the honeycomb grid, and then the hallway. And then as I showed earlier, so you have these translucent resin pieces, which would then match up with these, you can see. So the part here with the grid on it is going to be on the inside where you're going to see it. This will actually be behind it, and then the light will shine through and illuminate it, and this will diffuse the light. And then you've got this one here, and then I guess actually this one is for here, so you don't have one for that. This I'm not worried about. I'm not sure why there isn't one for that, but that's fine. I mean, I can certainly create one of my own and do that. So these work in tandem with this part here, and that's kind of cool to give that light effect and make it look like a fluorescent light. Then the last two sets of stickers, let me bring these over here, are kind of cool. So you have these ones here that are on a metallic looking vinyl, which is kind of neat. And you have like the controls, this crazy multicolor controls they had in the 70s. That's pretty funny. So a lot of these are the controls around the ship. Then you have these sections right here, this one, these three over here, that go on the cockpit control panels, the little curved ones on either side of the passenger or the pilot seats, which are kind of cool. And then these are kind of neat. The way these work is you have, turn it this way, you have this other sheet, which is also translucent, just like these ones. But you have blacked out portions of everything except where you're going to have the control lights coming through. So it's pretty cool. And you can see how they match up. This whole shape matches this one, this, and this one over here. So what you do is you would get those other milky pieces that go on those side parts, and they have the little TV screen in the middle, and you would then put the black part over it, and I'm guessing, I'll have to take a look and see. You might have to black out some other areas. But what you would do then is you would put this over it, and then this would go right over top, and it would be exactly the right pattern. So the light would shine only through the openings that aren't blacked out, and correspond with the controls on this side of it. So you'd still get that metallic look, and you're not going to get the light shining through everywhere else. You know, it might be, like I said, I'll have to play with it. It might be that this metallic part is also light blocking, so that probably the only part that's going to let light through are going to be the little control parts that he wanted it to. So I'll have to watch this video and play with that, but that's really a cool idea, how you have these two pieces that work in tandem. So, okay. So, really good set. This is going to really do a lot to bring out a lot of that detail in the interior once that's built. All right, so that's going to wrap up this video for this week. Really happy with this kit. Really happy to be able to start building that here in a few weeks. I have to get a few supplies, mainly a lot more super glue, some CA glue. I can't really use the regular CA glue, so I have to use a special odorless kind that I get from a local hobby shop. Works really well. He was out of it, so he had to order some large bottles in for me, because I'll need a lot of that to glue together, just the Spindrift, and then to go from there. So, all right. So certainly stay tuned. I'm going to be continuing my work on the 2001 Discovery, my commission build. So stay tuned. That'll be my next video. I have a lot of progress on that already on the interior, a lot of really great ideas on that. So some great stuff coming down the pike. Just stay tuned. Thanks to all my new subscribers. Also, I'm going to be, well, both of these kits are going to be long-term. I'm looking at like 4 months on both of these, I would say, concurrently. But in the meantime, I am going to build some other things. So stay tuned next week. If all goes well, I'm going to be starting a buddy build with Augie Gonzalez from Interstellar Modeler. And I'm I've mentioned him in my post before, a good friend of mine who has his own channel, and he does some fantastic things on there. He's done buddy builds before, and so we both had purchased a Predator model, a pod ship from Blackheart Models. So we're gonna both be doing our take on that build and building it. So stay tuned for that, and I'll announce more of that once that starts going. That will probably be featured on his channel, but I will keep you up to date. Generally, the way he does it is he gets both parts of it and he puts it on his channel, but we'll see how that works. But I'll definitely give you more information as that starts to pan out. So thank you to all my new subscribers. Stay tuned, a lot of really exciting and awesome stuff coming down the pike. Thanks a lot.